We're here in Charleston with the Hundley. Check it out next, coming up on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in Charleston, South Carolina, at a famous shopping destination, Luden's. We're focused on the H.L. Hundley submarine and on the spirit of South Carolina. And we're visiting with Senator Glenn McConnell, the chairman of the Hundley Commission, who also serves as president pro tem of the South Carolina Senate and is president of CSA Galleries in North Charleston. Senator McConnell, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Sure, glad to be here.
Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. Are you originally from the area?
I grew up in Charleston, went to the College of Charleston, left Charleston to go for 3 years for law school, came back, practiced law, and then ended up in the retail business. And I'm pretty much retired from the practice of law and do my retail business. And then, of course, I got elected to South Carolina Senate back in 1980 and have been serving ever since.
You've been serving since 1980.
1980.
Son of a gun. A lot of changes have happened in South Carolina over the last 20-some years. What's that been like?
It's been an incredible thing to see. Here in Charleston, I've watched the city go from vacant warehouses to a vibrant tourist attraction and city that's alive again. And up in Columbia, I've watched it grow and grow, and the people start to look younger and younger that are around me.
I'm sure. Do you have some goals for the future of South Carolina? I know that's quick to jump into goals, but as President Pro Tem of the Senate, and maybe you can tell viewers real quick what exactly that means, President Pro Tempore.
Well, what that means is I'm elected by the other senators. I preside in the absence of the Lieutenant Governor, who is President of the Senate. And then I also make all of the motions pretty much as far as where we're going to move in terms of where we're going to adjourn, we're going to break for lunch or whatever, and pull the two political parties together and try to keep some forward motion going in the body.
Right. How about some of the goals upcoming in the next session?
One of the biggest things we've got to do is learn how to balance this budget in light of the declining revenues and get away from across-the-board cuts. I want to see us do something about property rights in the state, and we need a Public Service Commission reform. I'm one of those that believes that if we do not do something about the Public Service Commission and get it on track, we could repeat what California has experienced in terms of energy crisis. So I want to make sure that we make some reforms in there. We're going to be trying to help Governor Sanford also make the government leaner and more responsive with less money.
You think South Carolina is going to benefit dramatically by having both houses of the General Assembly and the governor's mansion under the same party?
It's going to help us. It's going to help us particularly in budgetary matters, but we have one weakness. We need 3 more Republican senators in order to get in a situation where we can really do some things that need to be done on the Senate side. As a result, when bills get into the Senate side, we'll have to dilute them because we need some of the Democrats in order to move forward.
Not to take anything away from your service in the Senate, but can we talk real quick about your service with CSA Galleries? How long has that been open, and what exactly is it?
Well, that started about 13 years ago, right before Hurricane Hugo, and I was just a silent partner in it. After Hurricane Hugo, I became pretty active in it. And the company started out as a commercial art company. It went retail, and from there it grew and it grew and it grew, and it just moved into a new 17,000 square foot operation at Interstate 526 and 26. And we're getting ready to go into the ice cream business. McConnell's Ice Cream from Santa Barbara, California, reputed to be the richest ice cream in America. It weighs about 11 pounds per 3 gallons more than any other ice cream with no air. We're bringing that in first time east of the Mississippi. We have the Confederate Coffee Company, 13 flavors of the taste that succeeds. The Confederate Chocolate Company is there. And then we sell everything really related to history, the American Revolution, the war between the states, and a lot of the World War stuff. But primary emphasis on 19th century maritime Civil War history.
Spectacular. If viewers in the PD or the Strand or southeastern North Carolina wanted to check you out before visiting the area, could they go online or could they give you a call?
Sure can. We've gotten like everybody else with computers, and we're at csagalleries.com on the internet, and increasingly so as we're beginning now to do what we call virtual reality and start to take you on a tour of the store through the site. But more and more of it will be available through the site.
And you've always been interested in 19th century maritime
Yes, I have a
preservation.
fascination for it. It's kind of like, Ludens is kind of like a Charleston tradition, just like the Hunley. And things that just catch your attention when you grow up here and you remember. And the Hunley was just something that fascinated me as a child. In Civil War, Fort Sumter, Castle Pinckney, and all of that. And it just grew with the years.
And speaking of the Hunley, that's the key word for today. Can we bring you back in a second to talk to the viewers about the Hunley?
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for more Carolina People with Senator Glenn McConnell. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're in Charleston, South Carolina. We're visiting with Senator Glenn McConnell, the chairman of the Hunley Commission. And just a second ago we were talking about activities here in Charleston, his service in the state Senate, and his ownership of CSA galleries. But we really want to be here with you today to talk about the Hunley. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Sure.
I was talking to somebody last night from the upstate, and when I said Glenn McConnell, she said, Hunley. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel good to know that we've gotten our message out about the Hunley. It's captivated the attention of people all over the world.
Obviously, as chairman of the Hunley Commission, maybe you could talk real quick about the commission, how that was set up, and before we begin talking about the activities surrounding the Hunley currently.
Well, when the Hunley was discovered approximately 7 years ago, we set up the commission to see about going after it. Here in Charleston, the legendary submarine went out to sea, never returned home. They never could find it. It remained a mystery. And then Clive Cussler's expedition documented the exact whereabouts of the H.L. Hunley. We put the commission together to see if the state of South Carolina could keep it. At that time, we thought we might be lifting an eggshell. Believe it or not, the Hunley has escaped the jaws of time. She's defied man's memory. She looks totally different from what people thought she looked like. She looks like a German U-boat because the German U-boat is copied from the Hunley. Inside, technologically, she's light years ahead of her time, 50-something years ahead of her time. First joystick steering, that wouldn't occur till the next century, till airplanes. Her iron plating system's different from any iron plating in the 19th century. If Titanic had had Hunley's iron plating system, Titanic could have survived the iceberg. So Hunley comes back, escapes the jaws of time. 1/100th of an inch of loss of iron is all she sustained in 136 years on the floor of the ocean. So we brought back more than an eggshell. We brought back probably the greatest time capsule since King Tut's tomb. And as it's opened, it is just to the point that during the time that we were doing the recovery, we had 1 million+ hits a day on our website.
1 million+ hits.
1 million+ hits, and the first day we put tickets on sale, 2.5 million hits in 30 minutes. It crashed the entire network on the ticket sales, trying to get the tickets to come see the Hunley.
Golly, there have been some incredible discoveries recently.
Yes.
Can you bring the viewers up to date? Obviously, the bulk of the viewers are in the PD and the Strand and southeastern North Carolina. A lot of folks are not here in the Low Country. The ability to come see the Hunley on a daily basis is not available for a lot of folks. Hopefully, an opportunity like this to highlight the Hunley will give folks another reason to get down to the Low Country and to see the Hunley.
We hope they come. We've had a lot of people come. When we started lifting the men out of there, we found them right there in an incredible state of preservation, just slumped over their remains right where they had died. It just was very quick and apparently very peaceful. But as we lifted it out, some of the block lifts we did are sediment with clothing, because clothing is very fragile. And so now what we're doing, we're analyzing these block lifts of sediment out of the submarine with the garments. Last week, while we were looking at Dixon's pants and jacket, we found jewelry in one pocket. An incredible diamond ring, 18-karat gold, a brooch with 37 diamonds on it, 18-karat gold. Earlier, when we went to lift him, we found the legendary gold coin. This, according to legend, was given to him by his girlfriend, Queenie Bennett, when he left for battle. In 1862, at the Battle of Shiloh, he was struck on his left side. Legend had it that the bullet hit the coin, deflected it, and saved his life. Not much more was known. They were told that he, who was left-handed, rubbed it for good luck and had it with him on the night of the final voyage of the Hunley. We went to lift him. Dr. Jacobson went to make sure we got his pelvic regions and disengaged. She felt the ridge. She said it was almost like coal energy. And when we flipped the coin over and sprayed water on it to clean it, we found an inscription on the back, Shiloh, April 6, 1862, my life preserver, GED, George E. Dixon. And what had been a fable, this to us was like finding the glass slipper would be to the tale of Cinderella. All of a sudden, a fable had become historical fact. Now the jewelry, one of them a piece appears to be a lady's. Was he intending when he came home that night from that, intending to go back and give Queenie Bennett a gift? She'd given him this gold piece. By the way, the shot hit the bonnet of Lady Liberty. This coin is thought to be worth between $8 and $10 million. This is an exact solid gold replica, 1860 itself, except for one scratch. Everything about this is the same. It is an incredible story in the Hundley. I guess one of the other most incredible things is when we took the skeletal remains out, we went to do some CAT scans on the skulls, and there the brains of all the crew members are there.
The brains?
The brains, almost perfectly preserved, to the point that we will be able to tell if they died from an oxygen loss or from trauma. Hundley is unlike anything. She's different hydrodynamically. Inside, she's well advanced over anything thought to exist at that time. And she comes back to this incredible story that just appeals to Americans all over the place. I tell people, whether you're a student in the American Revolution, war between the states or what, this submarine is the essence of the story of Americans. In the pursuit of freedom as they understand it, they're always willing to put aside the element of fear. And the Hundley comes back with that great story.
Very definitely. Senator McConnell, where is the Hundley currently located? Where is it currently being housed, and is there a permanent home planned out for the location?
Well, she's located right here in the Charleston area up at the old Navy base. We open on Saturdays and Sundays for visitation for people to come and see. I tell them the Hundley will silently speak to you. She's like a quiet tomb, but she's like a gigantic piece of American technology. We hope to build a museum either across the river in Mount Pleasant, right here in Charleston, or up in North Charleston. One of the cities has offered us $11 million to locate the museum in their city because of the economic bonanza that comes with the Hundley. People from 30-plus states and at least 4 foreign countries a weekend pour into Charleston just to see this incredible craft and experience the incredible love story, the incredible tale, the technology, and it touches them as Americans about that freedom didn't come easy for any generation.
Mm-hmm. So the commission has not yet decided where the permanent home will be. Mm-hmm.
No, we haven't made a decision. It's one of the biggest decisions we got to make, and because we intend to build a state-of-the-art facility, not one with glass boxes, right, but we can rebuild these people with 98% accuracy, their faces and everything. Mm-hmm. And the day will come when you'll come to the Hundley, and they'll be sitting beside you in a computer chamber. And this facility will be what we call virtual reality, and you can take the journey into history with the crew of the Hundley.
Amazing. And speaking about that journey, can we talk real quick about that journey, February 1864? What do you think happened that night?
We call the sub affectionately the old lady, and she has refused to give us the final secret, which is what happened on the way home. But I believe this occurred. The Hundley completed the attack. She came up too close to the Housatonic to replenish her air. She could stay down around 20-25 minutes. She attacked, she backed up, she opened her hatches to replenish her air. I believe either the hot boiler on the Housatonic exploded, causing a tipping across the water, a wake of something splashed into the boat, caused it to lose its mere positive buoyancy. They had to quickly close the hatches and turn for shore. On the way back, frantically trying to pump air through the snorkels, they ran out of air and boom, anoxia, they blacked out. Something that would cause us to believe that is the second man in is a 19-year-old young man who was hanging up there on the bellows with his arms around it where he was frantically trying to pump air, so much so that it appears he may have herniated his third disc in his spine. Just an incredible story, but we found it aimed directly at shore, its dive planes pitched forward, and the crew just slumped over in there.
That's amazing. Senator McConnell, I'm just blown away sitting here listening to you, and there's so many amazing stories related to it. The location of where it'll be permanently is secondary, if not tertiary, to the entire event itself, the preservation, actually getting it out. Is there any aspect of it that's been the most exciting to you? You're so Boolean in explaining just a little bit. I mean, you've only touched the surface of what folks who haven't yet experienced the opportunity to get down here. Is there any overarching experience? You may be repeating yourself, but anything that stands out in your mind? We've got about a minute, and if you could just...
I think the biggest thing is that once that our divers and our scientists, every time they would go down and feel it, and the visibility was almost zero, they would tell us it feels different, we think it looks different from what we're practicing on and what history has told us it looks like. And when the Hunley came up that morning and we had a chance to see it, we were looking at not a converted boiler, but at a well thought out, hydrodynamically designed piece of machinery that was 50-something years ahead of its time just in hydrodynamics. And then we saw the rounded belly, the hydro displacement system, all of the things which indicated to us that this submarine had a whole science story that we had never even scratched on, beside the history story. Then we got the love story, and the Hunley has just, she's captivated people. The response, this city literally came to a halt on August the 8th, 2000, when the H.L. Hunley made the final journey home 136 years late. People were on the rooftops, along the banks, cannons firing, the church bells ringing in the city. Everybody that lives here can remember what they were doing when the Hunley came home.
Amazing. Senator Glenn McConnell here in Charleston, South Carolina. If you've been listening the last 10 minutes and watching, you'd say an amazing, captivating find himself. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Stay tuned for more Carolina People coming up next. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're at Luden's in Charleston, South Carolina. We're visiting with Charlie Sneed, the Executive Director of the South Carolina Maritime Heritage Foundation, which was founded in 2000 to build a magnificent sailing ship for the people of South Carolina. Charlie, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Are you originally from the area, Charlie?
No, my family moved here in the mid-'60s, and I had a great love for South Carolina and the Low Country, and came back and have stayed.
Where were you before?
I grew up with a family that moved around a lot, all over the eastern United States. My father was with the Veterans Hospital System, and so I lived in a number of places, none better than here.
Mm-hmm. Where did the concept for a tall ship for Charleston and for the people of South Carolina begin?
I've long been interested in wooden boats and met South Carolina's premier wooden boat builder, Mark Bain, a few years ago. And one of the conversations we frequently had was, why doesn't South Carolina have a big wooden vessel to celebrate its maritime heritage? Mm-hmm. And one day we just got tired of hearing ourselves talk about that, and we proposed the idea of actually building one.
And it will be built here in Charleston?
Here in Charleston, about 2 blocks from here, just across from the aquarium.
Okay. Who designed the Spirit of South Carolina?
We actually have modeled the boat after a late 1800s pilot boat that saw service in Charleston, and we've enlarged her to accommodate her mission, which is to get South Carolina kids out on the sea and give them an experience of ocean sailing.
Okay. And what do you believe, if you were explaining it to a viewer or anyone, makes this craft representative of South Carolina's maritime industry?
Well, we don't think about it so much today, but of course America is a maritime country, and South Carolina was of course founded by people who got off tall ships here, mm-hmm. and originally settled South Carolina in Charlestown. The lifeline to the rest of the world for 250 years were tall ships that came from Europe and the New England area. And historically, this was a very important seaport in terms of its maritime forests being available for shipbuilding lumber and the timber industry here that supported an international shipbuilding trade.
Mm. Charlie, who's been your primary supporter in this effort?
We have amazing grassroots support. We have a volunteer army that has come out of nowhere, 150 plus. We have some major foundations, including the Turner Foundation, mm-hmm. Locally the Joanna Foundation, the Post and Courier Foundation, and some very generous individuals who have seeded the money for this project.
How about the city of Charleston? How have they supported the project?
Well, Mayor Riley has been absolutely great. He talks about this project wherever he goes. He's always wanted Charleston to have a ship to represent the state of South Carolina berthed here. And they've provided us just under 1 acre of land where we've reconstructed a shipyard where we're now building the Spirit of South Carolina.
Great, great. How long do you believe before it'll launch?
We're actually going to launch the boat in September 2004. After that time, the city needs their property back, so we're on a time schedule.
Are there any big trips planned for the launch?
We will have a week-long maritime celebration, culminating with the launch of the ship. It's a 150-ton vessel. She's 140 feet long, and she'll make quite a splash when we launch the boat. We are already getting tall ships from around the world calling us, wanting to know when we're going to launch so they can be in the harbor to help us celebrate.
Oh, I bet. I bet. How about yourself, Charlie? Do you get out on the water a good bit?
Not as much lately as I would like, but I try to sail every chance I get. I love the water and I love sailing.
How will the Spirit be used when it actually launches?
The Spirit of South Carolina will be designed and certified by the U.S. Coast Guard as what's called a school ship. And it will basically take 22 to 24 kids and a professional crew anywhere the program would go. It could go to South America, it could go to the islands, it could go to New England, Nova Scotia, and at the right time of year we could actually do some passages to Europe. So she'll be both a school ship, and then everywhere she goes she'll be a goodwill ambassador for the state of South Carolina, in fact all the southern states.
Are there other programs similar to the one that's wrapped around the Spirit?
There are. Most of the programs originate in the north, where there are tall ships. As far as we know, we're going to be the largest tall ship built in the South in maybe over 125 years. But ships like this were constructed in North Carolina, South Carolina, some in Georgia, and we will emulate some programs that are very commonly found in the New England area, such as the Ocean Classroom program.
How about a personal inspiration, Charlie? Has anyone personally inspired you? Anyone that's inspired you in this effort? Anyone that's been, I know you talked about Mayor Riley being a great supporter and someone who really gets out and spreads the word, and that's a spectacular cheerleader in himself.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my friend Mark Bain has inspired me. Mark is a wood boat builder. Mark is in his early 40s, I guess, and he knows more about wood and boats and shipbuilding than someone his age should know. It's almost as if he has some DNA in his blood. But he's a hard-working man, I think very reflective of South Carolinians for generations, resourceful, can do anything with a minimum amount of tools. It's just a wonderful man and a great representative of the Low Country and shipbuilding.
That's wonderful. Can I ask real quick, you may or may not know the answer, but a lot of our viewers are in North Carolina. If there's any similar project in North Carolina, and if a viewer in North Carolina, if there's not a project, maybe a viewer in North Carolina would be interested in donating, if there was some way they could help grow the Spirit of South Carolina, maybe...
Sure. One of the interesting stories that we stumbled into in learning more about the history of the ship that we're emulating, she was called the Francis Elizabeth, built in Charleston in 1879, and we recently found out through an archived copy of the Wilmington Morning Sun that she actually was destroyed by a fire and sank on the Cape Fear River just north of Southport.
Is that right?
Where she was at that time owned by 3 harbor pilots who worked out of the Southport, Wilmington area.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Real quick, where are the funds primarily coming from to build the ship?
We are raising the money privately. We hope that businesses will see this as a goodwill ambassador for the state. We think that individuals who are interested in preservation and are interested in celebrating South Carolina's maritime history will help us build this ship.
And if someone wanted to donate to help build the Spirit of South Carolina?
Well, you can get in touch with us through our website is the best way. Provides a lot of information about the boat and its mission and how to contribute money. Is www.scmaritime.org.
Okay, great. You've heard him, Charlie Sneed, the Executive Director of The South Carolina Maritime Heritage Foundation, obviously built to build out the spirit of South Carolina. Charlie, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Stay tuned for more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank the Butler family and all the staff here at Luden's for making Carolina People such a great success.